Hi everyone, welcome to MJS Coaching Football, and thank you for watching my channel. I really do appreciate it. In this gun triple option presentation today, I'm going to talk to you about the technique change to our inside veer that we call 12-13. uh, who's impacted by being in the gun, what changes there are in technique because you're in the gun, and then equally as important, how little, if any, impact is on anybody else. Okay, so essentially, two players, their techniques affected by being in the gun. The other nine, no change. Okay, so the whole point of being in the gun in our triple option is to make the defense have to be prepared for all the things that you can do out of the gun that you could not necessarily do under center. Okay? So over here, I'm going to go through the key terms first. And then over here, I have it drawn up just so I can show you the changes for the two people affected by being in the gun, that being the quarterback and B-back. Everybody else is not affected. Okay, so if you want to see it versus a 3-4 or 4-4 or whatever it might be, 3-3 stack, just email me and we can go over it. But for this presentation, I just want to show you how the technique for the quarterback and the B-back is affected by being in the gun. Okay? So the first key term is, in fact, the B-back. The good news, other than obviously their alignment's affected, and I'll go over that in the diagram, is their technique's the same. There is no change. The change then, the tweak, is their alignment, which affects them seeing the football snapped. Their landmarks, their track, their footwork, their soft squeeze, that's all the same. Okay, so we do not change the footwork in any way, shape, or form for our B-back because we don't have to. So the impact on them specifically, when I go to the diagram, I'll share that with you. Again, the reality is the stance is different. They can't see the football snap, so the reaction's a little different, which also is the reason why we don't have to mess with their footwork. Okay, so then the second key term is the person who is most affected by being in the gun, the quarterback. Okay, so the quarterback, how is their technique impacted by being in the gun? Well, it starts with getting the ball, right? So we always talk about you got to catch the snap, right? You got to catch it. Okay, so we teach them as they go through the cadence, they get their elbows up, the hands are in front. They've already scanned the defense. They've made the calls. They've determined the numbers, total numbers. They know who number 1 and 2 and 3 are. They've done all of that. They've started the cadence. The hands are up and their eyes are straight on the football now. So they can see it, anticipate it, catch it, and have it ready to be put in the belly of the B-back. Okay, so we always talk about catch the snap. It's also just a not so subtle reminder that you're in the gun. It's a different way of getting the ball from the center. Catch the snap. We talk about that. We coach it. We practice it. So now the footwork's a little different because they're in the gun, right? They're at 3 yards. They catch the snap. As they're catching the snap, they're pivoting play side, right? So they're pivoting on the balls of both of their feet. Simultaneously, as they pivot, they're stepping at 3 or 9 o'clock. Okay, so they don't have to get the ball from under center and step back at 4 or 8 and then balance. They don't have to do that. They just catch the snap, pivot as they take a slight step 3 or 9 o'clock. Okay, so as they're pivoting, they're also extending the ball with their front chin tucked on the shoulder with the eyes on number 1, the handoff key. And I'll go over that again in the diagram. Okay, so the second step is what we call heel to toe. We don't want them to overstep. You'll knock the B-back off track. Okay, so if I'm going to my left, I know it may not look that way in the diagram, but as I pivot and step 3 o'clock or 9 o'clock, I should say, with my left foot, my right foot is now the heel on the left toe. That's the heel toe. And it's still a balance step in towards the line of scrimmage as if they were under center. So that stays the same. Okay. But now the biggest change of all is they got to shuffle towards the line of scrimmage. Right? So now catch the snap, pivot, step. Okay, so the shuffle doesn't start until I've taken the second step with the back foot, and then it's a little bit of a shuffle into the line as I read number one. And they should end up a hair deeper than they would be if they were under center stepping back at 8 o'clock and then balance stepping with the back foot. They end up being slightly deeper, so it's easier to attack number two downhill. But the biggest tweak to the technique in our 12-13 inside Veer is with the quarterback. And it starts with, we talk catch the snap, pivot, open 3 or 9, extend the ball, step, heel, toe, shuffle toward the line. Okay? And all that being said, it's still the same. You ride to the front hip. Same thing. Right? That doesn't change. All right? And it's still, we're going to give it unless that near shoulder of the handoff key number one is turned and he's closing down hard. Okay? Or if it's a heavy shade and he gets great hands and frictions on tackle and he physically doesn't turn the shoulders, but he closes the space and the gap so there is no B gap, that's a keep also. Because it effectively does the same thing. So I'll show you that in the diagram. Okay? And so again, that's the biggest change being in the gun to the quarterback. Everybody else, the O-line, the wide receivers, the A-backs, it's the same. There's no change. Zero. Zip, zero, nada. So for people that think, oh my God, I can't do this out of the gun. Yes, you can. The most coaching occurs with the quarterback because he's the one who's impacted the most, right? If you think about it, instead of being on the center, he's 3 yards back. To be back by design, his heels are where they always are, except he's in a 2-point stance. Right? I mean, there it is. Boom, done. So now let's go to the diagram. All right, so I'm going to diagram the offense in red, what they do. All right, so this happens to be against what we would call 4-3 over, too high. Right, so the corner, it could be cover two, could be quarters, right? Could be a split coverage, quarters on one side, deep half on the other side, right? All the different things that could happen, okay? So we're going to go to, right, numbers, field, angles. We got 6 and 5. We've got fewer numbers. We got better angles going to the opposite the 3 tech in our inside Veer. So even if it were into the boundary, 2 out of 3, we got better numbers and angles. We're going to go with the 1 and the 5 technique here. Plus it's only 5, right? 5, 6. So again, remember, everybody else is the same. So what we're going to do here is there's our handoff key. There's our pitch key. We'll say we're just going to run our base arc number 3 scheme, right? Push crack. We still got the flash backside, get across the field, right? With a 1 technique, we're going to make that an ace call. We know he's the handoff key, 5-5-5. He's going to veer release inside. Look to block the mic. Up to the backside safety. Most likely it would be the Mike linebacker. We'll be looking to scoop A gap and B gap. We're going to go with a no-mo here, no tail motion. So on the snap of the football, he heads to the tail and he gets himself into the proper relationship at the college level. These guys are fast enough to do that. All right, whatever we can get away with no mo, we do, and it would depend on the play. But in our inside veer, we don't have the motion. So now, right, here's the difference for the B-back, as I said I go over with you in the diagram. Because the B-back, we tell them it always, reach out and touch your quarterback. Always. If you can reach out and touch him, you're right where you want to be. But because he's in a 2-point stance behind the quarterback, because he was in a 2-point stance, he can't see the football. Whereas when the quarterback's under center and the B-back's hands on the ground, he's looking at the football. So when that thing moves, he's gone, hitting the line of scrimmage, right? So his hand is 2 yards behind the quarterback. So the biggest change for the B-back is he's got to react to the quarterback catching the snap. Okay? He's going to hear the cadence, yes, but he's more reacting to that. And then from there, it's the same. He steps play side foot to the outside leg of the guard. 1, 2, 3, track. 1, 2, 3, track. So he's 1, 2, 3, get on the vertical track. 1, 2, 3, get on the vertical track. Okay? Quarterback, catch the snap, right? Open step, 9 o'clock in this case. His second step, heel to toe. Shuffle towards the line of scrimmage. Attack downhill. There's your biggest difference for the quarterback, right? There it is. And he is already coming downhill, which puts him at an advantage, whereas when they're under center, they got to step and reach back, right? Bounce step, ride, disconnect, and then get downhill as much as you can. Any type of penetration forces a bubble, kind of screws up the whole process. When you're in the gun, that doesn't happen. Okay? And yes, it might be a little bit slower to get the B back into the hole, but not a lot slower. You'd be surprised. Okay? You'd be surprised. And in fact, when the ball is in the B back's belly here with the shuffle towards the line, it's a tougher read in some cases, depending upon what technique the defensive end is playing. Is he a bender? Is he playing the shuffle? Right? He's going to read, try to make the quarterback indecisive. All right? Is he going to be a friction and close it down? So physically he's there, but he's not bending. So that should be a pull, right? That's part of the unless. So here, if he's frictioning and closing down the B gap so that he's in a position to tackle the dive, that's a keep. Right? Now attack number 2. Okay? So as you can see, there is not a major change here running inside veer, what we call 12-13 out of the gun. The bulk of the coaching in terms of impact on technique is at the quarterback position. Everybody else, unaffected. Okay? So as I said at the beginning, thank you for watching MJS Coaching Football. I really do appreciate it. Subscribers, non-subscribers, please, questions about anything, reach out to me at CoachMJSullivan@gmail.com because I would love to talk football.